Hey, welcome everybody. This is Peter Hernandez, and this is the core truth. And I know you were all expecting to hear and see from Kendall Childs, but she had a real estate emergency. And so I invited my friend and I don't know, God, he's just been working with me for years now in like developing my social media, helping me with content. And this is Sonny Amini from Buzzy Agents. And Sonny, welcome to the core truth. I mean, you kind of been hosting this forever and now you're a guest. So how are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you, Peter. I've been behind the scenes always, and definitely, I'm definitely not Kendall, but hopefully we can give people, the watchers, the audience, a good show here and give them some value, maybe something in the marketing realm, perhaps, because that's my field of expertise, of course, and that's what I work with you on.
Well, I'm sure we can provide value. And, I think back, Sonny, to when we started, which was, is it like 7 years ago or something? A pretty long time, right?
Oh boy, I think
And
it was COVID time,
yeah, it was,
just
I think it was
before.
even maybe before that. And I remember, maybe having, I don't know, maybe 3,000 followers or something, I think like that. And kind of my
7,000.
7,000 followers. And I remember, like my all my content and everything was a little disorganized and a little fragmented, and I was just shooting from the hip, like so many of us people in the real estate industry do. I remember thinking that executives typically were not very big on social media. They kind of stayed out of social media, and I certainly understand why, because sometimes you don't want the public attention, but the reality was it's such a great, in my mind, as you move up in the corporate world and you're overseeing more and more people, you can only do so many one-on-ones or group meetings, and you have to reach a larger audience on a regular basis so they feel connected to you. And I think that's really important. And I think that's the same for real estate agents too, because real estate agents, as their clientele grows, um, as their what I want impact on the world grows in their ability to reach more people, they need to have a platform to do that. And that's kind of about where we met, and that's where we started. And then I just remember, just once I got you involved, we exploded and took off.
That's right. And I think that executives and commercial real estate agents really underutilize social media. We see the residential agents always pushing and they do a great job. But executives, for some reason, and commercial real estate agents, I think they have a huge opportunity because it's a bit of a blue ocean still, especially in the commercial. Like if you're a commercial real estate agent, why are they not? I guess they feel like their clients might not be on social media, but everybody's on social media. Everybody. It doesn't matter what you do, you can find your target market and your audience online. So yeah, they definitely underutilize. And in your case, it was impressive that you were already, before we met, you were already putting out content. I mean, that's how I even found you. You were visible online, right? And you were already putting out content on YouTube and Instagram. But of course, there were things with the strategy that we tweaked to or added to make sure that you actually grow. And that's the problem. A lot of people post and they don't really have any growth strategies in place. They don't have any real plan. They're just putting out content maybe week by week or day by day and hoping things work out. But you have to have a more complete approach, and it's not just about posting, and it's also not just about posting great content and going viral, because these days it's just not enough. And I mean, that's been the norm for years now. When we met, it was easier. For example, even the cost of ads were lower, right? If you go back 15 years ago, the cost of ads were so low that people knew how low if it was today compared to today, it's so much more expensive, and it still makes sense to run ads or invest into your marketing and your social media. Back then, it was like the Wild West. It was an early mover advantage, right?
Mhm.
So people used to do really well with the ads and social media itself back in the day. But now it's very difficult to grow just by posting, and even then doing everything. There's just so much competition, so much content. You've probably seen yourself, Peter, like over the years. At first, when you started posting, uh, compared to now. Now everyone's trying, especially when it comes to real estate. Everyone's in the game I mean, I don't want to make some people feel left out because it's not literally everybody, but almost everybody is in the game. There's still a lot of people that are not active, and they feel like they're behind probably, and maybe they feel like it's too late, but it's not too late.
It's not. You brought up three great points. So the first one was about commercial agents, and I couldn't agree with you more. I think commercial agents are somewhat resistant to, marketing in a sense. Like even their offerings are so dry and so aesthetically not pleasing. Just even in their brochures and things, you know what I mean? And then you start moving into videos, and you start moving into, social media posts and digital marketing and things like that. And everything just looks like some dry piece of that. And yes, people are looking at these as an investment, but there's also an emotional, I don't care how much they say this, but there is an emotional appeal to buying a building. You know what I mean? There's something there besides just the numbers. The numbers absolutely have to work. Nobody's going to make a bad investment, but there is an emotional appeal there somewhere. And so tapping into that through your social media or tapping into that through your marketing, I think is very, very, very important. The other thing you said was that, you thought it was getting more and more difficult to become present in this marketplace, right? And I think it's a true statement, but I also know that when you're in it, you think everybody's in it. But if you're not in it, I mean, there's a bigger group of people that aren't participating. I guarantee it, because I talk to agents all day long that are afraid to post. Like, for example, I was talking to this one agent, and I'd go, "You have to post a video on this price reduction you just got on your building." He goes, "I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it." I call him a week later, still not done. Now, he probably should have posted 7 videos on that price reduction, just coming at it from different angles within that time period. Instead, he couldn't even post one because he's struggling with, how he looks on camera, what he's going to say, what are people going to think, I want it polished, I want it professional and all that stuff. And you have trained me over the years, just get the content out and be consistent with it, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
You know what? The other thing you mentioned is that, or you didn't mention this, but I think about this a lot, like, engagement and versus number of followers. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I don't think there's one right answer. I think it's probably a combination, right? And then the other thing you said too, which was really triggered something to me, is that people feel like they should only grow organically. Like there's this martyrism where I'm a martyr. I am never going to pay for an ad ever because I want every one of my followers to be organically grown. Okay, great. They're up to 7 followers now. You know what I mean? It's like, when has paid advertising been a bad idea? That's what I want to know. That would be my response to everybody. When is it a bad idea to get more people looking at you, even if you have to pay for them? If that was true, then nobody would be buying ads in the newspapers, ads in magazines, ads in social media, or anything if that wasn't a good idea. And yet that's a booming industry. So what do you think? Am I saying it correctly or am I wrong?
Well, yeah, no, I agree 100%. Ads, paid ads, like there are people that avoid it for whatever reason. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but look, you target the exact audience that you want, the exact locations that you want. So I think ads are a no-brainer for any business person, and I think everyone should have a budget, especially agents, to run ads. Now, you don't have to be on every platform. The thing about social media, you mentioned, many people they don't post, and they want to. Maybe I feel like a lot of people are 1 foot in on social media, and they're just inconsistent, or they'll just post what the brokerage gives them maybe, and they don't know what else to do outside of that. But it's first of all, let me talk about ads. Again, everyone should invest in ads. I think whatever your budget is, whatever you can afford and sustain consistently, even if that's $5 a day, which comes out to $150 a month, right? I think most agents can afford that. If that's all you can do, that's fine. That gives you that local boost in awareness, and I don't know if you're going to necessarily get leads through that, but you definitely can. But I mean, I would like to see $20 a day, $10 a day, up to 50 and even 100 a day if you can afford that as an agent, because that's really going to drive leads to your account. And then there's this big overwhelm where, you know, people, they don't know what to post, and then they can't handle all the platforms. And you don't really need to be on all the platforms. Just at least choose one, and, you know, go in on that, learn from that. Then if you can evolve and expand from there, because the principles usually or generally are pretty similar between the different platforms. And making good content is pretty similar. Yes, some platforms are short video based, some of them are long video based, some of them have photos and more text, you know. um, they all have their own little nuance, but generally good content is good content. The concepts of having a good hook, you know, to catch people's attention at the beginning is always the same, whether it's going to be written form in text. The first few sentences should be interesting and engaging enough and set the idea and be clear. Or if it's a video, same thing. Within the first few seconds, you should engage your audience and, you know, be clear what this is going to be about, maybe what solution you're going to deliver. So paid ads are definitely underutilized and everyone should use them. I don't understand the stigma of like, I want to be organic. Like, okay, great. Like, you're competing with people who do that and they do great at that, and they also pay for targeted exposure. Because when you're posting it without ads and you're posting your organic content, you're kind of shooting in the dark. You can't really direct where it's going to go. Hashtags are not effective anymore. The CEO of Instagram said that himself. If we're talking about Instagram, they don't really make much of a difference anymore. They don't use the hashtags to direct your post or something. Um, you know, you're kind of shooting in the dark. So ads are very, very good. You mentioned engagement versus followers, Peter. Followers they're because they've become so difficult to acquire. Uh, they're like not even the main thing anymore. If you know Gary, you know Gary V, the famous marketer, and he's been saying, I mean, I heard this from him like last year, and he's been saying that he thinks followers are dead. He believes the platforms are even going to remove the follower count. That's how unimportant he thinks it is. Because, and the reason he says that is because we can see with the algorithm, we can see with the results that, whereas before, like if you post good content, your followers grow pretty quickly, um, relative to today. But now it's like your followers might not even grow, and someone might have tons of posts that went viral, and they have, you know, millions of views on their posts, but then their followers are still like 7,000 followers or something, because it's I believe, from my perspective, it's the psychology of the audience, which means us as well, because we also, I don't know how much time, you know, you have to browse, but I browse a little bit. I think most of us do. And then, you know, psychologically we're more selective and picky about who we follow, because we follow so many people by now, and we're kind of spoiled with all this like super addictive, engaging content. And so we're more picky about who we follow, and we're more picky even about what posts we're liking and commenting on. And I would say even like which posts we're sharing with our friends, because there's so much, like we don't want to share something that to them, you know, is not so interesting, and we're competing with all this different engaging content out there. So yeah, the environment has changed for sure. The whole ecosystem has changed since we started working together about 7 years ago, and it's more difficult in that sense. But I would say, and you mentioned earlier that I said it's more difficult. I said it's more expensive, right? Which is a difficult thing for sure. But I'm not sure if it is more difficult, because like to some degree, in some ways it is, but in some ways it's never been easier. We all now have AI. A lot of us use tools like ChatGPT, and Claude is a great one for writing that has been kind of overtaken ChatGPT, or starting to, when it comes to the writing aspect. It's a better writing tool. But we have these AI tools that we can just pop in, give it our idea, and it can give us a quick script, and we can ask it to give us a good hook, you know, to start off with and engage people in our content, a good call to action at the end to engage people from there or generate leads. And, you know, so in that sense, it's never been easier. And the platforms give us so much tools. Like over the years, a platform like Instagram has evolved to where there's so much going on in that one app. You know, there really is. And now we have things like collaboration posts where people can team up. So let's say if you have a team of agents or several agents at Douglas Elliman, they could collaborate together, and they could post their posts together. You know, and I see that happen where 3 or 4 agents will post their posts together as a collaboration post on Instagram, very often, several times a week. and they're just sharing audiences, and they're helping each other and lifting each other up, and they're having the power of 4
Collaborate
accounts.
a little bit because I know what you're somewhat selective with who I collaborate with and what, how I collaborate. And so
Yeah.
what's some of your tips and advice on collaboration?
Well, generally speaking, you want to collaborate with accounts that obviously have the same or similar audience as yourself. You don't want to collaborate with someone who's doing a whole different business out in, I don't know, Japan. It's not relevant to what you're doing. You want to stick with people that have an audience in the real estate industry, and likely that's their own profession. In the US, their audience should be, because we can go into insights and see the data of our audience, our followers, and we can see what countries they're from and all that. So yeah, in your case, you want US, you want the real estate industry, maybe business people. So it has to be relevant, and the audience size of the account that you're collaborating with should be similar. Because if you have 100,000 followers and you collaborate with an account that has 1,000 followers, I'm not going to say it does nothing, because you're still getting exposed to some viewers and people that wouldn't see your content otherwise. That's good, but it's just not really going to have an impact on your account, and it's kind of lopsided, right? The smaller account is going to benefit a lot more than that bigger account in that case.
So,
So
so when you collaborate with someone, doesn't the like if you were to ask me to collaborate with you and I click yes, then your post goes on my grid, correct?
yeah, it's on your grid and my grid. It's a shared post, and
How does
you
that
know,
affect like maybe the aesthetics of the grid or the intent of the grid? Like if
yeah,
you're, I think that's another issue, isn't it? Like
it
do
is.
you want something that's maybe not, I don't know, relevant to your grid in a sense?
Yeah, not really. When it comes to Instagram, and this is specific to Instagram because there is a grid, right? There's that profile, and that's pretty important. That's kind of your business card. That's your storefront. People come there and they're going to judge you really quickly, and judge your brand and even your success level or even your skill, which it's not really related or relevant, but they're going to see how you do that and how it looks, and they're going to judge you in all fields. So you typically want to have a cohesive looking grid that shows your branding and is consistent. And you're not the one big mistake I see agents or anyone on social media using a bunch of different fonts and things, and maybe too much text, and it's just busy, and it's not cohesive. You can't really see their branding. They have like a elegant font in one post, they have like a silly looking font in another, or a fun one, and it's just, you don't even understand their brand by looking at it. So in your case, if people look at your account, they can generally see a theme with similar fonts, and they can get an idea about your branding. I mean, there's a reason why brands like Prada, Louis Vuitton, all these luxury brands, like, they do their things in a certain way that we might not even be able to articulate it, but when we look at it, we feel luxury and elegance and whatnot, and it's clean, and the design principles are well followed and whatnot. So yeah, if you just accept collaboration invites from different accounts and you're not selective, your grid's going to look messy. And for many people, it is that the grid does look messy, and they should work on having a consistent theme. We have so many tools available to us now, and I see a lot of people and a lot of agents are just doing a great job at picking up on those tools. But sometimes we have to take it one step further to be, to elevate, to not just be average. As agents, we know there's the average agent, and the 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and there are those who you can see are consistent and they succeed, and their branding is on a different level, and their reputation is on a different level. So it's similar, these little things, they matter. How your grid looks, is it consistent? So when agents, a lot of them will go to Canva, which is like a tool. I think it's free and paid. There's a free version, but they'll go on Canva and they'll go on ChatGPT and they'll put together their post that way. They'll take a pre-made template from Canva, and they'll just fill in, their details into that template, that design. That's Sometimes it's good enough, but usually it's not. Usually you need like a higher level design, whether it's custom made for you or you custom made it yourself, or whether you like went out and went further and seeked it out, or even within Canva possibly. But um, I see a lot of cookie cutter, base level designs, basic designs and content out there. And I think agents should take it a step further, which
What do you
they
think
can do that alone.
about agents that are using lots of emojis and almost comic book kind of vibe, and yet they've got like a $10 million house or something, that they're showing at the same time? I mean, it doesn't seem to work for me, and I wonder if agents are maybe. I mean, like, it's fun to grab attention and it's fun to kind of jock shock, as they say, but at the same time, we need to be professional as well, because people are not looking at us as entertainers, where they're looking at us as like, is this the person that's going to represent me in my purchase or sale? So there's a combination of grabbing attention. Obviously, you need that in this world because, like you say, so many people are vying for attention and trying to grab, the mind of the consumer. So we need to obviously have impact, but at the same time, they're absolutely, in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong, but it needs to be infused with professionalism too.
Yeah, this is a very interesting topic, and there are two sides. It's kind of a personal opinion thing, but we see some agents that they'll spend a lot of money on videography. They'll have these cinematic, beautiful videos. More and more, we're going to see AI being used for some very cool, engaging videos, and very elegant branding. They're polished. They'll speak, very eloquently in their video, and it's like a big production, cost them more, and they'll put those out. They'll probably put ad spend behind it. They'll invest in ads to make sure it gets views and whatnot to promote their listings. And then we see the agents who just show up very casually, and they'll just do like a little dance maybe, and you know maybe not speak at all, or just show their day-to-day routine at the gym, and maybe completely irrelevant things to real estate in their content. But both of them might get good results, and the agent who's being casual might have a big audience and have people that connect with them as well. So it's kind of a difficult thing to say which one is right. I guess agents can do whatever that is genuine to them, and whatever they can enjoy doing and sustaining, and they're going to reach, everyone's going to reach their own audience, whether you are that silly agent, that dancing agent, that super high end agent who's always in a suit and tie. So I would say, at the end of the day, do whatever is genuine to you.
You,
Do you, as they say. But
you know,
both of them work. And I'll just say, yeah, like, just know a lot of people, if you're just always dancing, you're always casual, you're in flip flops, you're, showing yourself hanging out in shorts.
we've done, as far as with my account, a little bit of both, right? We've done some very casual, off the cuff stuff, and we've done some very, very professional stuff. And I think maybe a little bit of a blend would be good, like a mix. Show,
It's good.
authenticity is an overused word, obviously,
Yeah,
but I think if you're trying to be someone that you're not, that never works.
100%. I mean, that's the worst thing to do, is try to be someone you're not, because I think that everyone can see through it. For the most part, we see through it, and so there's no use doing that, and it's not sustainable and it's not fun. But yeah, just be yourself. If you like to be, in flip flops and whatnot, like, that's fine. And in your case, Peter, like, we lead with the business side usually, and the suit and tie for the most part, right? But we're not trying to fit a square into a circle or something. We're being very genuine. You sometimes are at the beach, you like to surf, and people, you work out, CrossFit, and people get to see a bit of that too. We're not hiding that stuff. So I actually, for some reason, one of the most common questions I've always had throughout the years is, should I post personal stuff, or how much personal versus, like, business or real estate? I mean, it's up to you, to whatever degree you're comfortable. Some people do not like to show their
Well, what's your
families. Some are
advice
fine
if
with it.
someone asked you that question? I mean, how would you answer it?
It depends on the person. As I just said, like, it depends how you're comfortable. Some people don't want to show their family. They don't like to show their personal life. Some people are, like, very careful about their privacy. They don't even want anyone to know the area in which they live, for their own security, like the neighborhood. So it comes down to what you're comfortable with. It could be an 80-20, could be a 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, you know. Um, Even within, like, even if they like to put out their personal content more, and they hate doing business content, and they want to do an 80-20 where it's 80% personal stuff in their life, that's totally fine, because ultimately, as real estate agents, you're the personal brand. The listings come and go. Oftentimes agents will tell me, I don't have listings right now, so I don't, I can't really do anything on social media. That's not true at all. That's not true at all, because it's the personal brand. It's you. The listing will come and go. People want to work with you. You're not just promoting and marketing the listing. You're also promoting and marketing yourself, your brokerage, your team if you're in a team, even your area, your community, your geo farm that you serve. You're also promoting that, right? You want to be somewhat of an ambassador. You've mentioned the word mayor before in the past, Peter. You want to be like the go-to, the local expert, the one, the one to go to. You know all the places, you can give the recommendations, you know all the people, you can give the referrals. Um, so yeah, that percentage of how you want to do it is up to you. Similarly to how you want to show up on social media, or even in business or in this life, you got to be genuine. So if you're a super family oriented person and you want to share that, that's great. You're always going to find your audience, and that's the beauty of the internet, right? It's such a vast space that if you want to be, if you're a surfer and you want to lean into that, but you also do real estate, and your account is 90% surfing, content, you're still going to find your audience. As
Right.
long as as long as you leave the clues business wise, if we're going to think business wise, as long as you leave the clues, and in your bio, you mentioned that you're an agent, and when you have listings, you show them. When you're at a property tour, you show that too. Let people know. Don't keep the business side out completely, but you don't need to force it.
Let me ask you
Into
a
your
question.
content.
Let's get to you for a second. What is Buzzy Agents?
Yeah, Buzzy agents. We serve and help real estate agents and real estate professionals, because it's not just agents, but we help them build their brands, build their presence online, and we do that predominantly through Instagram. But because of Instagram, it's social media. The principles apply across the board. So we do also help agents with other social media platforms. And being in the space for going on around 10 years or so now, it's pushing on a decade. We've helped and do help with other areas as well, but mostly it's helping to get leads and build agents brands through social media. That's the main thing that we do, and it includes different elements like advising, coaching, and
So
whatnot.
let's go into that a little bit. So you do some advising and coaching is one thing.
Yeah, and that's me myself, where I work with the agents one on one, and I'll help them with anything from creating content to just creating their branding, their brand, like who they are, how they show up. As in your case, Peter, we've come up with a few different things that help supplement your brand and build on it. That we created, such as video series, and what we do on YouTube, and truth bombs, and this podcast itself. This is all our brainchild that we put together.
That's right. What other services do you offer from Buzzy Agents?
Ultimately, I think the most important is you build your brand, you build you generate leads if you need, you build your pipeline and your database. Outside of that is you get guidance, for
You
whatever you need in this.
manage their accounts? Do you
Yeah, we do. We manage their accounts. There's some cases where we do more of a hands-off, done with you approach, and coaching, as they say. I'll be coaching with an agent. I'll help them, guide them with what they need to do. Otherwise, we can do it ourselves. We have our formula, right? We've been studying this and doing this for a long time in the real estate space, and so we know how to do it. We can give you the key in the formula, or we can do it for you, hands off, done for you as much as you want. And in some cases, our clients, they don't like to create content, and we do that. We do what we do with very little involvement from them. And in many cases, our clients like to be more involved, and we meet regularly. We create content together.
you've built some pretty big accounts on Instagram?
Yeah, we have a few million followers across close to 10 accounts in real estate.
That's huge.
That was a big learning experience for myself. That's early on. That's how I learned how all this works. I mean, I remember the days that I was rejecting social media and Instagram, and I didn't like it, and I didn't want to be on it. I just rejected it for whatever reason, avoided
Really?
it.
You're like me. I was the reluctant realtor. So you were the reluctant social media
Well,
guru.
yes,
And now you've just
100%.
embraced it fully. What happened? What changed?
You know, well, I got invited basically into it. I got kind of pulled in by a friend who was really into it, and I just saw it. To be honest, it was the business side that impressed me. I saw the possibilities, how you're open to a whole world, and that kind of caught my attention, that made me interested. So I went forward and learned everything step by step, and I was lucky to have friends around me that helped me with that. And eventually, it just became my job. I just stepped into it, and I was lucky because before COVID, what I was doing was kind of got shut down during COVID, right? I was a live entertainment agent. And so obviously I was working with venues and 5-star hotels like Fairmonts and whatnot. And that definitely stopped during COVID. And I got into this space more seriously right before COVID, luckily. But and this space boomed, by the way, during COVID, right? Our business actually grew, and kind of like real estate, the market picked up. So anyway, what changed? I saw the business side of it, the business benefit, advantage, and uses. And that's what I think changes for a lot of people. I think a lot of people reject it, and then they see that, okay, like I need to get on, especially with real estate agents, they see I need to get on this this thing.
Well, it's interesting because I've always tried to be a user and not a consumer.
Yeah.
And I think that goes to my next part, and we can finish on this. I think this is probably the topic of the day and the most important thing we can talk about. That is, and how healthy is social media for you, and how can we control what we are, our algorithms, and how can we control what we see so that we don't get sucked into some of these dark places. I mean, we're talking about kids and suicides, and we're talking about people just getting lost. They call it the death scroll. And boy, I've caught myself several times, and I really try not to go there because I don't, first of all, find it useful at all. What is your thoughts on that? And how do you even yourself manage that, to manage even your own mental wellness and your health and all of that?
Great point. And that, you mentioned, I think you said you want to be a user. I think you meant you want to be a creator and not a user, not a consumer. You want to be a creator, right? And that's the best approach. And I can say, like, there have been times where I'm being more of a creator and more of a user. And so I guess it's like many things, it can fluctuate. It's a cycle maybe, but as much as possible, honestly, like, there's cool stuff on social media, there's some useful stuff, but generally speaking, it's not one of those things where you want to spend a lot of time and you get like more value by spending more time. You might want to spend a little bit, a few minutes a day or something for consuming, scrolling for fun, for entertainment. But yeah, it is a slippery slope. You could find yourself like, scrolling for 20 minutes or something like that's, I'm not going to lie, it's happened to me before. And you just wonder where the time went. One of the things I do is I put a timer, which is from my iPhone. Instagram, as for one example, and I think most platforms have this, but Instagram does have a timer within its own app that you can set, and it'll kind of block you out. And the iPhone, which I use, has one as well. I'm sure Android phones probably do as well. And you can set a timer. So what would happen with me is that timer would pop up. I think I set it to because I need to use it for work, right? So I set it to maybe 15 minutes or 20 or something, trying to go for like a minimum. And then it will pop up sometimes and say you've hit your limit. And then you can ignore the limit. You could say extend 5 minutes or 15 minutes. And if I'm using it for work or something, I might hit that 5-minute extension button. So that's a nice tool because it's kind of like a reminder. And because without that, you can just keep going, and then you lose track of time.
So addicts that are like struggling with certain types of content, and they want to like change their lives, for example, is there ways of setting up your account so that you can like not have that stuff come to you, or you know what I mean, or things like that?
Because, and that's
how do you do that? What do you do there?
So the way to do that is there's a few ways. You can go to your settings in Instagram and you can reset your explore page. And that's usually where people, will go browse or their own feed. So when it comes to your own feed and the accounts that are being fed to you that you follow, you have to control who and what you follow, right? You have to, maybe you do an audit once in a while and go into your following and remove some accounts that for whatever reason the content is addictive. And everyone has different things that like they love to watch on Instagram. And
sex, all kinds of things, right? Or like food. I mean, there's just things people are just attracted to that maybe not healthy for them.
Yeah, whatever you use it for, and I've like found different things that like grab my attention at different times. Whatever you use it for, at the end of the day, you're not getting that value that you think you are. It's just quick dopamine. It's cheap dopamine.
That's right.
If we want to get into that, like it's just there's better ways to get your dopamine that are going to make you happier in life. And this stuff, anything that's a cheap, quick dopamine fix, it'll make you feel not even better about yourself, but probably worse about yourself because you're wasting your time. But for me, it's been like different things. Like there's food has been a thing, cute like kid videos that are adorable, funny videos, clips from funny movies and stuff. Uh, Fights have come in the past a lot for me because I like MMA and UFC and boxing. So fighting stuff, and it'll show street fighting stuff because that's the thing they want to get you with shock value. Yeah, a lot of people are into the models and influencers that are on there. So yeah, you can reset your explore page so that whatever's there that's always grabbing your attention, it can just be reset, and it's not interesting to you
A
anymore.
reset just clears it all, and then you start over.
Yeah,
Got
clears
it.
it all. And then there's the explore page where it's that magnifying tool. I'm talking about Instagram here, that magnifying tool icon, and shows you a bunch of stuff that it thinks you like. There's also like when you tap on the reel section and you can just keep scrolling, it'll just keep feeding you short videos that it thinks will grab your attention. That's what they want to do. They do want to hook you in and keep you on the app, right? So you can reset those. It depends which accounts you follow. That makes a difference, and that helps to determine what accounts and content they feed you, which accounts you engage with. Like if you've saved certain posts that are a certain type, let's say you saved a bunch of food recipes, they're going to keep feeding you recipes. So another thing you can do to help reset is you can go into your saved posts and unsave all those posts that you saved, and to help reset.
So a lot of
Yeah, these are a
countries
few
around
ways.
the world are starting to put age limits for kids
Yeah,
getting on social media. What do you think about
I
that?
like
How do you feel about that?
I like that. I think that I, I think we say that like 18-year-olds are adults. I don't know about that. I would push that age a little higher because we're still developing. Like even in my 20s, like I was looking back, relatively pretty immature and not suited to make certain decisions. So yeah, I like that. I think that it should be very controlled. There's a lot of concerns, and more in this world, we're learning about some of the dangers and the crimes and the things people do, and a lot of it happens online. Whether it's like the bullying or you know, sexual things, sexual crimes and abuses, and it goes on and on. But children are not suited to just be accessible to the whole world and be out there. So I think there has to definitely be controls there. I mean, sure, government can step in and do what they do and regulate the companies. I think it's a good idea because there's tons of content out there on these platforms that should not be there. You know, Thankfully for us and business people, there's content that should be there and it's good, and the business stuff, and we can put out good content. But there's lots of garbage out there too, and that's the truth. And addicting stuff, and um, you know, access to people that should not have access to each other or to us. And so parents have to be involved, and hopefully the families and the parents step in addition to companies and governments. But it's difficult for the companies to regulate the whole environment, the whole ecosystem online, and regulate the content and the users. And I don't think they can control it. I think it's unrealistic to think so. So unfortunately, there is good with the bad here. And I think it comes down to the parents mostly. And yeah, I mean, a 12-year-old that has unlimited access to Instagram and everything else, and especially if they're posting like themselves on there and putting their photos, they're just opened up to a world of honestly danger. So I think it has to be very
Targeted,
carefully regulated.
people can attack
Targeted,
them and
100%.
say all kinds of cruel things, and then they suffer
Exactly.
psychologically from that. It's interesting because the whole conversation about the Second Amendment, well, not the second, I forget which is free speech versus censorship. Is that the Second Amendment in the U.S.? I'm not sure. I
Maybe
don't
the
know.
fifth.
I'm thinking of mixing it up with
I'm
the
I'm
country.
from Canada, so I I
Oh,
don't
you're
know.
Canadian. Well, anyway, we
Yeah.
we have a free speech
Yeah.
amendment in our Constitution, and I think free speech is important. But on the other hand, I think some things should be censored from certain age groups and certain people and things like that. And maybe there's something that
100%.
shouldn't be allowed at all. I'm imagining. So
100%.
It's a huge topic, Sonny. I think we're at the end of our time here, so let's wrap this up. But thank you
Yeah.
so much for,
Oh,
first of
my
all,
pleasure.
helping me throughout the years and being a good friend. And I know you've
Thank
helped
you.
a ton of our agents here at Douglas Elliman, so I appreciate all the work you've done for them. And so, just really, really, I mean, really great to know you. And it was really fun seeing you in Vancouver when I was up there. I got to come up again to your beautiful country because it's really pretty spectacular.
I have to come down to yours. I have to come to California and see you. And that's a little bit overdue in my mind, but I feel like it's getting closer and closer. So I don't know if it's going to be this year. If not this year, I think it should be next. But I should come out because yeah, I'd love to see you. Love to see the beautiful state again, and lots of friends and that I have down there and agents that I've worked with throughout the years that
You could
are
come talk at one
awesome.
of our sales meetings or a few of them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Great.
That could be great. See your offices and just
Yeah.
seeing LA again. It's been a while. I love LA. It's a nice vibe every time out there.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for participating in the Court Truth. Sonny Amini from Buzzy Agents. You can find him on social media or any way you want. He's available. He's here to help you. Thank you, Sonny, for being on. And I hope everybody has a great balance of the week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.